What up, everybody? Out the Pow 78 doing his thing. So, what I'm gonna do here now is first I'm gonna say, yo, I got my son in the background, so you know how it is. He's gonna be telling me what's going on. He's very upset. He's not in the foreground trying to tell me how to do things, so he's in the background saying, yo, dad, you're doing it wrong. That's what his crying really is. I got my rubber duckies as my background picture. So, here we go. We're gonna do video one. So, for the first time, we will be pressing start over here. Now, I more than likely have one. Yeah, this right here, that's okay. You guys don't have to have that there. What yours would look like is exactly like that. I don't really need that there. I'm not doing too much with it there. So, what we going to do here? The simple thing, we're going to actually create a project. So, here we're going to click on Create New Project. And I'm going to show you why I don't like this post. I mean, this theme sometimes. Once again, the highlight. That's it. So more than this is not gonna be good. So we're gonna go to MVC Core. So I did that for all of us could get the MVC Core thing going on. We click it and we press Enter, or we click Next in the bottom. I do not like my stuff going here. I go to my D drive because I have way more room on my D drive than I do my C drive. And I got .NET right here, and that's the folder I want to use this in. And I'm doing Mel's Kitchen. Mel's Kitchen is spelled like this, I think. And now what's going to happen in the .NET, it's going to actually put Mel's Kitchen there. So we're going to type app down here. We're going to separate so we could see it easier. Life will be better type things. Let's see. Let's make my face look a little bit brighter so you could see me a little bit better, maybe. I don't know. All right. And let's go next here. Usually I say everything is the default, but right now you'll probably see long-term support 3.1 default. I'm going with the current 5.0. There are a couple other things more. You can do more with the 5.0. However, I won't get to that till like the end probably, and we're not gonna know which the 5.0 and 3.1 difference is because that's what I do. Now we could do enable Razor runtime compilation, all that good stuff. We're not gonna do that. Let's go to create. All right, this is gonna create our stuff. So, this is Alec Trebek. All right, so it opened it up. You see this right here. You know everything's working great. And one time I'm gonna press play so you can see that it's actually working. Boom, 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 boom. This is a project that's configured to use SSL to res. Don't ask me again. Okay, yes, I don't know what that is, and yes, okay. It's basically asking for it's secure socket or whatever. So really, we're not worrying about that right now. We're just gonna put yes because we want to make it so we could work with this. Privacy works, everything works. All this is gonna change rapidly and fast. We might not even have a footer. I don't know if I really want to keep the header, but I might. And then I have the page actually go into here and maybe keep the footer and the header, and maybe and more than likely put like a transparent theme on the header so you could see the background a little bit. And I could demonstrate that for you guys lately. So that's step one. It worked. We're gonna exit out of there. Usually it closes. Sometimes it doesn't close. Especially on my laptop, it had issues. And right now I probably would have been frozen and the computer would have turned off on me. So that's what happened. It kept corrupting my videos. I would have been done with this part already. So with that, let's go and let's look at what's going on here. We have no dependency packages. We need two of them. Two of them will add everything else we need. I just learned this because I was always adding everything we need. Now, we come down here, we go to NuGet Package Manager. Remember I showed you this last video. If you didn't see the last video, it's like 5 minutes. Go look at it. That's another ISER. And all we're looking for here is Entity Framework. That's it. And we don't need to put in core because we're going to put the SQL Server. And then we don't need to put design because we put it in tools. So we come down here, you see SQL Server. I'm going to add that first. If you click on Mel's Kitchen, it's going to click on both of them. Now, you could have also clicked on project. It would have clicked both of them. So we're gonna install that right here. That's a little something extra. Okay, we want those, and okay, I accept that. So as you said, as you see, I put the SQL package right here for the entity framework, the server. And if you open this and the last one, you see that the framework 5.0, everything's already in. A lot of things are installed with that one. So the next one, like I said, was tools. So we're gonna install the tools, and tools actually installs design. And I was gonna install design tools and framework core. See, it says this is what we're gonna install, or we're gonna put I. You know what I'm saying? I. You know what I'm saying? I. As you know, I got my new rubber duckies, and this is, this is gold right here, and he looks like a gold color, yellow. It builds like a gold. So that's all we need from that for now. And as you can see, again, it's the packages right there. They got two packages now. Okay, like I said, this is the setup to starting to create the database, etc. So let's set everything up. We got these things installed. All right, we're gonna exit out of here, and I'm gonna go to File, and I'm gonna just say Save All to make sure it has everything in here. Okay. One of the things you have to do, but you don't have to actually create a folder, but it's kind of like standard to create the folder. And when I didn't create a folder when I was learning in school, and they showed me to create the folder and why, well, that's why. Well, the name of the project is Mel Kitchen, so we need what we call a context folder. So we gotta go context. In this context folder, we need a context. So we're gonna add a class right here, and we're gonna call this chef context. The reason we're calling it the chef context is because the chef context is the user. Oh, and we gotta spell chef correctly. Is the user, and on top of it, that's what we're gonna use as a user context. So everything chef and creating mode in the future is gonna be the chef context. So let's add that. In order to configure this context properly, we gotta do a couple of things. First, we're gonna have to go to DB and context right here. Press the control period or dot button. It's gonna say, hey, put in framework. Yes, we do. We press enter, and then we have no issues. I like to space that a little bit. So what are we supposed to put in here? Well, we gotta create a constructor of it, and it's gonna have like the base bare minimum options. So we wanna say public, because if you don't put the public keyword in it, trust me, you're gonna get a lot of errors. So we got a chef context, right? Actually, we don't even need to do that right now. We could say C, TOR, that's the constructor, and if we press tab, it's actually gonna give us this constructor. And we could leave it exactly like that. There's no reason to make it short or anything like that. In here, there's not gonna be nothing in here. So we're gonna delete those two things, and we're gonna add it at the end. In here, we're gonna say DB context options, right? And this could be of a chef context. And then we're gonna put options in lowercase, tab. Oh no, it's like you did too much in there. Now we're gonna put a colon, and we're gonna press options in the outside, or base in the outside, and in the base we're gonna put options if you can spell today. And that's that. This is kind of set up. Now I deleted those two curly braces because we're just gonna add them at the end, because there's not gonna be anything in between. This is just saying, hey, we want a chef context of options and database stuff, etc., and that's gonna work for us. Bada boom, bada bing. But now we need to include the models in the models folder. However, we don't have no models in the models folder. So let's put this on hold, and let's create 3 models. All right. We're not gonna do anything to them before we finish this. We're just gonna create them. So let's close that out. And here we're gonna have a new class, and we're gonna call this first class the chef. With models, we just name them by the names we want them to have. We don't have to put models at the end. With context, you want to put context in the end because it helps C# and the .NET atmosphere actually look itself up. So that's good. So we're gonna put add, and right now we're not gonna do anything. Okay. We're gonna add another one. We're gonna call this recipes, because every chef better have some type of recipe of their own, even if it's like meatballs or it's like chicken parm recipe. We all have different recipes for chicken parm. We might put a little extra pepper, a little extra less pepper, some cayenne pepper for the like real spicy. You go to the real spicy Aldo Pal 78 meatball chicken parmesan thing. I don't like spicy that much, so we're just gonna call this the recipe model. Call it recipe. And the last model we're gonna add it. This is called the login um, model, and I'll show you what's gonna be alike. It's not gonna go at the actual database when we create it. It's just gonna be so we could look for stuff in the database, compare it, and allow you to log in. So we're gonna add this login model. So with that, I'm gonna go back to file and save all. I don't like to press Control K and Control S. That's annoying. I just rather do it the harder way. So let's go back to the chef context. Now the last two things we need to do. All right. All this right here is saying let's create a database. All right. That's all this section up here is doing. Is recreating a database from this context. So now we gotta add the tables to the database. So what will the tables be? That's right. There will be a public database set of a chef, because these are the models that. Oh, not a chef. Oh, hold on. We gotta press Control Dot so we could bring in the models folder. See, so it says Mel's Kitchen models. And once the folder, other places say we have to say like in what they call it, MERN, and like React, you have to export everything. This one says, yo, just bring in the models folder and we could use it. Usually I tab out of here, but well, what do we want to call this? We call it chefs with a capital. Chefs. Most people will say it like this, and we're gonna get a get and a set. And the reason we're gonna get a get and set because we have to put these tables in the proper order. So I'm gonna get into that after I do the next database. It's basically the same thing with recipes. So let's press Control C, V, Enter V, and we're gonna call this of a recipe. And we're gonna call the recipes right here recipes. The next time we use this inside the chef's model, we will be calling it dishes because they have to serve these dishes now. Enough said about that. So yes. So that's basically that. It's saying, oh, okay, you want a context of recipes. Okay, we get it. So what this is gonna do is this is saying put these tables that we create from the models. We're gonna create these tables from the models, all right, into the database. Well, I don't have a database right now to show you, so let's Control S here. That's easy, save. And then we're gonna close this. We're done with this. Now we're gonna start with the chef model. And I'm actually gonna bring the login model next to the chef model because we're gonna copy and paste a couple of things to make our life easier. I will show you what data annotation is next video, and that's basically saying for sure we want this to be the primary key, etc. So we hear Davey's like, Dad, calm down, slow down. That's what he's saying to me. That's why he's crying. He's like, too fast, son. So, so the first, shortcut is prop and tab. I mean, since we are gonna put an integer in, I'm gonna call it chef ID. A lot of people would just call it ID. I don't like doing that. So the next one is gonna be, let's go prop, right, and then tab, and we're gonna put lowercase string here, right, and then, what do we want next? I want a first name. I want them to go, what's up? What's your name, son? Right, and honestly, I'm gonna copy and paste this a couple of times because we're gonna have a bunch of a few strings. Read, last name, email, password, confirm password, and this is gonna be of the recipes, and this is gonna be a date time and a date time. So let's just change all these names real quick. I want a last name, right? This is gonna be how our stuff is looking on the database. So we want email here, and I capitalize all mine and use camel case because I believe C# likes that. This is a password, and this is confirm password. This is how C# likes it. I kind of like it this way better too than underscore and stuff like this, an extra letter and stuff. I don't know that button that well. So after all these strings, your thing here is gonna be a list of recipe. All right, and it should be this, and we're gonna call these dishes in here. Now the reason I have a list of them is because one chef can have multiple recipes. All right. And even some other chefs can have the same recipe name, but it's gonna be a little different. Now, I know you're saying, what's these two stuff right here? Well, these already exist. So, however, this is gonna be a datetime, and this is also gonna be a datetime. All right. The cool thing about this is gonna be what we call created at, and this will always happen when we create our first person in the database. And this is going to be updated at. So whenever we want to update something, like say I got married to a person, and they wanted me to change their last name or put their last name hyphen my last name, so my last name could be cooler. We could do that, but I'm not gonna do that. I like my last name. So I'm gonna hold down the Control and Alt button and click right there, so we can have two lines going at once. Now we're gonna put an equal signs. We're gonna put date time, oops, and then dot NOW with a capital N, and semicolons at the end. So there's other tricks we could do as well, and I will show you them with like Control D, or later on. So this is what our chef model is going to look like in a database. So what does a database look like? Well, it kind of looks like a Excel spreadsheet. Matter of fact, Access is a database that uses Excel spreadsheets and helps you do foreign keys or primary keys and stuff, and tells you what the primary key. So your primary key right here would be your chef ID. So we're gonna just put chef ID to make it simple. What's gonna happen next is you're gonna put first name, right, and then last name, and I'm abbreviating this because I want to go through it all, email, etc., right, and the rest of the stuff here that we want. Now your recipes are not gonna show right here. They're gonna show in a new database once the primary key comes. However, you are not in the database. You're not gonna see the list of database of recipes in the database because it's gonna happen like it's gonna make a. Let's go to recipe. You got recipe ID, right, which we will make. Recipe name, ingredients, instructions, and and a user or a chef. Matter of fact, we call that one the chef maker. We call him the chef maker. That'd be cool. That's a good gangster. So what was gonna happen is we got this one. It has a recipe ID, and then your chef, your user chef is gonna have the call a foreign key because it's a one-to-many relationship. It's gonna have many recipes, but one chef allowed to it. So this actually is gonna be to bring the chef dot chef ID, right? That's what this really is bringing in. That's why we're using it. So what happens when you create a database, and I will show you this more later, is you get like the first guy, his first recipe, and that connection is one. So that's always gonna be one. Then you got the first guy, his second recipe, the second database. And you got the second guy, first thing. I don't know if this one will return back, but we'll figure it out once we get there. But it's gonna be something like this, and this is how the new database is gonna connect. It's gonna just connect all. Okay, let's insert that. This is gonna be chef ID, the recipe ID, ID, and then new ID. Or we could call this connection ID, and that's how the relationship database works. So that's that in a nutshell. I'm gonna minimize this so I could talk about it later. So what I told you before, we're gonna have something with login that's gonna be similar. The thing is with login, all we need is this and this, because we don't need to confirm a password. We just wanna, hey, we want to email. But what I want to do is what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this what they call on a partial page. So I wanted to change because we're gonna have two partials of registration and then login in the same section. And what that's gonna do for us is if we don't change it, it's gonna look up the validations for the other chef ID. So the login, it'd be email. We both have emails. It'd be showing them both. It's weird how that works. I don't like it, but that's what happens. So I always change the name so also I could know. So let's Control S and save that. Get that out of there. And let's Control S and save this. Let's just copy a couple of these. We don't need them all. And then let's get out of there because it's not saving nothing. And like I said, this is a recipe ID. I gotta know how to spell ID. Is a recipe name, like that, right? That's pretty cool looking. This would be what would this would be called? This would be the ingredients, right? I hope I spelled it right. This would be the directions. Now, one of my goals, and I don't know if it's gonna be coming anytime soon, because at this specific time, I gotta understand how a certain thing works inside YouTube. Like they what they call tags, and it's not just YouTube. There's other places like Stack Overflow, which I get a lot of my information from because that's what the ducky told me to do. The Dr. Ducky's like, you got a bug. Let me help you fix it. StackOverflow.com. So that's what I do. So with this, we also want to do a public chef, which I would call chef. We don't want to call him just chef. Recipe maker. Let's call him recipe maker. That's pretty cool. We know he's a type of chef, and you have to get. And if you press S and semicolon or G and semicolon when you're in here, it'll actually just populate the get and set everything else once you type in, the semicolon. The last thing I want to do is, I shouldn't have closed the chefs, but let's do this twice since I want to do this. Let's press enter and then let's do this twice. I want two of them. Yes, you got it. Public date time equals created at. We're gonna create it at twice, and then I'll just put updated at after, and then we get the get, and then this time you have to put like that, which is fine with me, and then we'll put the equal sign and we'll put date and time dot now, and then semicolon, and then this has an error because we got two created ads. It needs a updated ad, and that's my neighborhood. Yes, they always want to put loud music, and it's not even good music to me. I like old school slow jams. So we're gonna press Control S, and these are your models done. So now the setup for all the models are done, and we'll talk about validations and I said it earlier. So data annotations, that's for validations, and we'll talk about that later. We're not gonna put that in this video. That takes a long time. It's real easy to do. You just put some lint to the side like your leg was broken, but that's also the Humpty dance. So I couldn't say that out loud. We will work to do the controller right now. We're gonna add a chef controller. All right, and my chef controller is gonna be blank, and we're gonna click add. But we're gonna call it chef controller once it populates. So we take away this home, and we put chef in front of it, so we don't spell controller wrong, and delete the one. And yeah, that sounds good to me. We're gonna go to add. Now in this controller, the reason I'm creating this controller is so we could have it already set up and make life easier for ourselves. One of the things we want to do is make a public chef context in this controller, right? So we go to chef context, and they don't know what that is, so we click that, and no, oops, that why did it rename? Oh, because I put public wrong. Why didn't you tell me I did it wrong, everybody? Now you just press Control and the period again. It's gonna bring in the context again. All right, and then this one, underscore and lowercase context, it usually means database stuff. Now you don't have to name it. This is just a naming convention that's normalized. So I would prefer to put database context because I know what the hell it is. It just makes it that much easier for me. So now we're also gonna put a constructor for this, and we're gonna put chef context. You got it, and then we're gonna just put regular context because we know that this context is gonna go inside that context. So this is a local variable of it, and this is us getting the information to be able to use all the database information and call the database. That's what this really is about. So we're gonna go db context gets context, and that is a setup for your controller right now as of this specific time. And if you have a problem with it, you better call Tyrone, Erica Badu. Woo! I don't really like her voice. I mean, she has a great voice, but it's just sometimes she's like, I don't like that. But she's an amazing singer. She has some good songs. She's awesome. But there's some things I don't like about every singer, and that's that. So this is done. Recipe is done, and if you saw that spit come out, because I'm so excited. So we got the controllers, and now we got the models done. So I'm trying to go down the line. Now the views we're not gonna touch right now. There's no reason to mess with the views. This is your layout view. This is a setup and everything. You'll see it eventually. And this is the privacy. Then you see it has render body, and this is the header. And what I like to do sometimes is I would like to do a partial and render my partial in here so the body doesn't have so much stuff going on with it, right? So we could do that for the footer and the header. You know what? I will do that in this right here. So partials usually have like an underscore. You don't have to put it, but I believe it understands it better. And we're gonna put it in the home one right here. We're just gonna add a view, and in here we're gonna add a razor view. We press add, and the view is gonna put header partial. I like to do it like that so I know what I'm talking about. We don't really need a model for this, and we're gonna create it as a partial. So let's go to header partial. Let's see what's in it. I wasn't gonna do this part in the setup. We got a couple of more things we gotta do. But hey, dun, dun, hey, I want your money. Huh? Usually it doesn't take this long, but if it's like your first time doing it, which is mine, because I uninstalled, reinstalled, deleted, redid it, blah blah blah. It takes a little bit longer unless I did something wrong, and then it's not gonna even work, and that happens. So let's just get rid of that. We don't need it. And let's go back to our layout right here. And let's go grab the header, the nav bar. We don't even need the header. We leave the header there. We press Control X. So in this header posture, we're gonna go Control V. And we're gonna Control S. And let's see how we should render it here. Well, partial like this. And a name like that. And let's see how we do this in here. Sometimes it gets difficult, and so when I make mistakes, you can make mistakes with me. So we in shared here, but we need to be in home. So sometimes, let's just go header partial. Sometimes it just looks for it and not CSHTML. I always spell HTML wrong. It's so easy to spell HTML without the CS in front of it. So let's just see if this worked before we go a little bit further in. I'm only trying to make this 30 minutes long, but it'll probably be like 35 minutes. So let's just check this. It doesn't work. We'll come back to that later. We don't need to see the header right away. I didn't see any thing wrong with it. Let's see. Oh, I'm looking forward to see if the header's back. So it's saying, yo, I don't know where this header partial was found. And we looked in header partial views, shared header partial. It didn't look at home. So we wanted to look at the home. So with that, we come here. We should be able to do that and should be good to go. But we'll figure it out slowly but surely. Or we could type in the whole thing in the views dot slash home. So it's like I don't know what that is. So let's just do it that way. That's the easiest way for me to do it. I just type in views slash home slash header partial. And let's save that and make sure that works. If it doesn't work, we will put I don't know what that little wavy sign thing is, but it's it's next to the shift and the 1. Yeah, let's see. I'll show you right here. That might work here. Let's see. I say, hey, sometimes when you do errors, you gotta you do things you don't usually do. I usually don't take that out because I don't care. But this is like it's looking for views, home, header, partial. Yeah, that am I spelled partial wrong? Let me see something. Header partial. HEADERPARTIAL. Well, I'm just gonna go to rename, but not really rename it. Press Control C and press Escape, and then we're gonna go back to the layout and make sure we spelled that right. Header partial. So we spelled it right. Let's save that. Let's get rid of that. Unless that was supposed to be in the way. That might be like that. Let's find out. Use home header. Use home header partial. That sounds right. And sometimes I might have to look it up because it changes with 5.0 and there it is. So I just had to put that slash in there, and I probably spelled it wrong, but the header is back. So now that we know how to do the header partial, we're gonna do the same thing for footer partial, just in case you want to keep this footer, because sometimes I don't like it. So let's do the same thing for the footer, and this is gonna look a little bit neater. That's all, nothing special. We're just gonna do a Control X. We're gonna go to the same thing. We're gonna add a view and raise a view, and And we're gonna create a partial. We're gonna call this footer partial, and then we're gonna press enter, and it shouldn't scaffold as long. You see that? It's like, yeah, we got this. We're going a little bit faster. Not too much. Oh, we're a lot faster now. So we just put that in there. We don't really need anything in there. And that's just in case you wanted to add like mad stuff in the footer, and you know you don't want to. Let's Control S that. Let's close the footer. Let's close the header. Let's come back over here and take this line right here and Control Exit. And as you can see in the bottom where it says footer, we no longer need the div. We just need that. And that should take care of everything. And let's just double check to make sure it's still working. There it is. See, everything is working the same, except we don't. Oh, yeah. So we must have deleted this and press X. When we wanted to press V here, we want this to be footer. So let's just take this out of here and stop this and put footer. I put the nav bar on the bottom, and I didn't. You know what I'm saying. Now let's save that. That should look better. I'll see if that works. If it doesn't work, it's because I spelled footer wrong. But you see how everything looks exactly the same, etc., etc. So that is that, and I tip my hat. So that's done. We're done with that. We don't need to really look for it no more, because now we gotta find out. We're done with the layout. But as you said, the layout had like this crazy long stuff for no reason, and now we just have to look in the head of partial, and then we go inside the partial, and we can edit it to make it look like however we want. We could take some of the lessons learned in that. But let's finish this views, and let's go to app settings. App settings when we actually create the server. I said we create the connection to the actual server and the database to either make the database or not. So it always has connection strings, and this could be anything you want. So I always do this nowadays, and then I just put that, and then CS is a connection string, so we don't have to do that much more. There's different ways to do this as well. You can put this as any name you want. This is, normalized, and this is not normalized, but it makes life easier. You'll see in a second. So basically, we have to find the server on a computer. Woo. Let's see if I created that server and I could find one. I let it do its own thing. Any one of these servers will work. I'm gonna go with my local server SQL, the project. Either one, it doesn't matter. They're both on the Pito desktop stuff, so we're good. I don't know why I made two, but I did. So we go here, and there's no database in it yet, or shouldn't be no database in it yet. But I might have a database in this one. Let's see. No, I had one. I deleted it. So what we're gonna do here is we click on this, and sometimes it'll just generate right here, and it's the very top thing. So if it doesn't generate right there for you, after you click on it, you could right click on it. Oh, you could right click on this. Nope. On this, and then right click on it and go to properties. And it's the same thing. Now it's always for me it's always the one on top. You want the connection string. So you click in here and can press Control C, and in between these lines you press Control V. Now that's simple, right? So we thought. In here we don't need none of this right now. So as you can see, it says Initial Catalog Master Integrated Security. Well, I'm gonna click there. I'm gonna make this small, but you see how small I have to make it just to make it look good? I don't want that. So in here, I'm gonna hold down the shift button and go to end. So keep holding the shift button down and press inside, because you want to go inside that quotation mark, and press backspace. When we press backspace, everything is good to go, except you cannot name it master. Master is not a name you give to a database for this, so we'll call it Mel's Kitchen. All right, and in Mel's Kitchen, we could save this. Guess what? App setting is done, and we're almost there. And now we gotta go to startup and set up the settings. Like I said, I'm trying to keep all these videos down to minimum. So what we want to go is we want to scroll down to where it says configure services. There are a few services I will put in before this, so I'm gonna go to services, dot add session, and then you do not that but that. This is the only one we actually have to worry about scrolling down and going to app.use sections. Now all this other stuff, I don't ever touch it, but you'll see it eventually later on. So now we gotta add use session on here, or put use session down there, and then I like to the add razor pages and stuff like that. I like to do that too because I just want to make sure for sure it's actually in there. Sometimes it should be in there, but sometimes we don't know. Mainly because of my laptop kept freezing on me, and sometimes this wouldn't work, and it didn't save what we had in there as things we our dependencies and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's the reason why I'm doing this. Now we have to add some database context right down here, right? So services dot what we want to do, DB context. Add DB context. There you saw it there. Let's go back if you didn't see it there. Add DB context. Right. You see it has the tú sabes the alligator mouse. This right here, like a list. So yeah, in here we want to put chef context, right? And unfortunately, right now we have to press Control Dot, which is not really unfortunate. Just we have to put Mel's Kitchen in here. And there's going to be something else in here that we want to do. So in here we want to add, what do we put in here? Do you know? Options. Exactly. So in these options, we want to make it like a lambda expression and do options again. And use SQL Server. Now, it doesn't know what that is. And sometimes if you don't capitalize the certain words, it's still not going to know what it is. So let's see if it works. See, it doesn't know what that is. So yes, it does. Down here, the second one. Usually it'd be the first one, but I didn't use the capitalization, the USS, United States Services. So that's in there now. So we added that up to here. Let's see if it worked. The framework stuff right here. Wait, we're done. No, I'm just joking. We also have to add in here the connection string, right? So it should be configuration down here like that. Dot connection, get connection string. This is, I usually do it this differently because you could put configuration in here and then put connection strings like so. You could do this as well, but this is not the most thought out way to do it. So you could actually put connection strings like this and then do this, and it's gonna get the string. We gotta put a semicolon there so we don't forget. But what most people do is, and so it's a little bit different for me. So get connection string, and is it here? Is it here, and then we come here and we put CS like that. I think that's the way to do it. And we will figure that out later because this is basically the end of the setup and it's like 40 minutes long. I don't want you to take too long trying to set this up. Now, if this doesn't work, which I believe that's correct, we'll figure it out. It's nothing big. It's nothing major. It's basically the same, this right here. But let's stop this video and we'll come back to the second video, which is going to be creating the database, data annotations, and migrations.